Hi and welcome everyone. My name is Philippe Tifo. I'm the sales director at VoIP.ms and I'm with Brent Fox at Big Cloud Consultant. Um, Today we will discuss Copilot from Microsoft, the big new thing. I think this presentation will be very different than all the webinar that we are usually doing at VoIP.ms. And I'm very glad to have Big Cloud Consultant here with us and Brent to show us the nits and grits of this new product from Microsoft. It's a very interesting and buzzing word right now on social media. It can be confusing from time to time. It's comparable to any other AI out there, but I think Copilot has a little bit more to offer than the regular AI stuff, and I hope that Brent will be able to provide more lights on this with us today. Um, on the agenda, it's very simple for today. For the one who doesn't know VoIP.ms, I'm going to present a little bit about us, a very short introduction about VoIP.ms. And once it's done, I will pass the mic to Brent. And I invite everybody to let the question flows in the chat directly. Please do not use the Q&A. I will monitor the chat while the presentation is going. If there's any question, we'll be pleased to answer them while the webinar is going. So to start with, I will share my screen and do a little tour of who is VoIP.ms. VoIP.ms is a Montreal-based voice provider. We were founded in 2007, so a little bit more than 15 years now. So last year it was our 15 years anniversary. We provide a vast range of telephony feature, all the hosted PBX feature that your business might need, or your residential phone even can be used through VoIP.ms. The primary focus is for business, but it can be used for your home as well. We offer phone number or DID numbers in more than 1,500 rate center across North America, and we also provide phone number in more than 60 countries around the world. We also have the ability to connect your calls in more than 125 countries, so long distance or international calls, toll-free numbers, call conference, SMS, MMS, name it. VoIP.ms is your provider for your phone services. Either if you have your own PBX or if you want to leverage VoIP.ms for your hosted PBX as a hosted PBX, we are your provider of choice on the market. So that being said, why VoIP.ms? Simply because it's fully hosted on the cloud, not to make a game of word, feature rich, bring your own solution, and pay as you go. Bring your own solution means that we are supporting all device type, either IP phones, soft phone, PBXs, Microsoft Team, ATA devices, any SIP-capable devices, even your entry door panel can be connected to VoIP.ms. So there's a vast range of solution that you can connect to us, and that's why we call ourselves Bring Your Own Solution. Speaking of solution that you can connect to us, all these brands are certified partners, so we are certifying that you can connect all these brands to VoIP.ms. We also have Wiki knowledge base. I'll explain it a little bit later, showing how to connect all these devices. And VoIP.ms, it's much more than just a vast range of certified partner in terms of device or software. We also have an ecosystem of partners, training partners, for instance, APIS training or headset.com for procurement, headset procurement. If you want to buy some headset, you can go to headset.com. PBX's SBC, name it, all these companies certify VoIP.ms as a VoIP provider of choice on the market. And we are also certifying that all these brands work perfectly on our network. We have tested them. We have those devices or those software at our offices. all those devices has been tested with VoIP.ms and work seamlessly. Just to name it, Big Cloud Consultant, the certified partner today. Big Cloud is one of our partner at VoIP.ms. I was mentioning about the hosted PBX feature. So VoIP.ms have a vast range of features. This is just a glance, and we keep adding every week or every month. So this list just keep building up. I did put out there just the main ones, the best one, if I can say. But the slide would be too long if I was adding all the feature that VoIP.ms is offering in terms of hosted PBX. But you can go on our website, see all the list of features that we are offering. I think you will have a lot to learn there too. In terms of SIP trunking, VoIP.ms can connect your PBX, your SBC, and directly to our SIP trunk network. So we have a vast range of server or point of presence PUPs across the globe, in Canada and United States, namely from East Coast to West Coast, pretty much everywhere on the North American continent. But we also have a point of presence in United Kingdom, in France, Amsterdam, and if you missed it, in Sydney, in Australia. Our network is monitored 24/7 all year long, so we make sure that your call keep flowing all the time. We also have a extend API that you can connect your interface to us. You can connect your billing system. You can connect. There's so many things you can do with the API, in fact. But namely, you can utilize the API to buy and provision DIDs and toll frees, send and receive SMS. You can connect identify endpoints. So if you want, you can manage the endpoint identification like IP phone and so on. You can retrieve your voicemail, retrieve your call transcription, retrieve pretty much everything, all the data that VoIP.ms can produce for you, all their CDR, the reporting. At this point, it's almost your imagination that can stop you from using the API. And also, it will be capable of managing all the hosted PBX features. A little bit about the financial features, the business model, and what we have to offer. I was mentioning earlier, we are prepaid and pay as you go. So VoIP.ms billing model is at usage. So you pay per minute. You pay for your DID per month, but you just pay for what you use. There's no recurrent monthly charge apart from the DIDs or the E911, for instance. Most of the services that we are offering is pay as you go. So let's say during the weeks of Christmas, the 2 weeks of Christmas, your current bill, usually with your original telco, you will be charged for the full month. But if there's nobody using it during December or half of December, you'll save 2 weeks. And same thing for summer. If half of the office is not there for 2 weeks, you'll save 2 weeks there too. So your original telco will send you a full bill for these months, but with us, you will save on the time that nobody is using it. VoIP.ms is also a self-service platform. You can configure and manage all your service through VoIP.ms portal. You don't need to contact the customer service or support. Of course, we offer support and customer service, but 99% of the thing that you need to leverage in the portal to manage a service is there. You can do all the changes by yourself, changing all the IVR choices, changing all the, your voicemail messages, name it. You can manage it by yourself. We are fully contractless, so it's pay as you go, as I mentioned, but also on a monthly base. So there's no contract. If you come, you come. If you go, you go. We also offer free porting in Canada and United States, so you can transfer your local phone number in Canada and United States for free. We also can port phone numbers in a lot of countries, but make sure to contact us to know the detail if you have any need on this regards. And we also have a smart and secure auto replenishment feature. So what it says here, what it is, in fact, it's to prevent any malicious or fraud. So only one top up per 24 hours is allowed. So if you run out of fun during 24 hour, it will re top up, but it will not keep charging your credit card over and over and over and over and over. And simply just about VoIP.ms. So VoIP.ms is suitable for residential, for SMB, but is also suitable for enterprise grade company. We have a couple of success stories here, not going into the detail, but Toys R Us, Icon Health and Fitness, and cPanel trust us for their communication needs, and they are leveraging VoIP.ms for either for their call center, for their corporate offices, or even some corporate offices everywhere in the world. Speaking of this, Icon Health and Fitness have many offices around the world, and they are using VoIP.ms whenever they are deploying any new workforce in additional offices anywhere in the world. So just a quick example of what we can do. VoIP.ms team, this is not a full team, but pretty much everybody, almost. It was, I think it was at the 15 years anniversary party. I'm the little short guy in the middle here. I really like this picture. It's very representative of our team. So VoIP.ms, it's a team of 50 employees, more than that, closer to 70 now. We offer support 24/7 through chat, tickets, and emails. We also can support you in French. I speak French, and English, and in Spanish. I'm not the only one who speaks French. We have a couple of folks here. We also have a complete Wiki knowledge base, wiki.voip.ms, where you can find all the configuration guide for configuring IP phone, ATA, SBC, soft phone, name it. You will find a lot of information on wiki.voip.ms, or FAQ, or YouTube official channel. We have also a very nice blog, and a new addition recently, community.voip.ms. It's you guys, everybody, customers that can use VoIP.ms community group to overcome some challenge, bring up some ideas, and find ways to better leverage the platform, because it can be so different from one user to another. It's really depending on your needs. A couple of useful resources, as I was mentioning here. So I'll make sure to provide that presentation afterwards, so you will have these quick links easily accessible. And your contact detail here at VoIP.ms. And feel free to grab my email address and my direct toll-free number. It will be a pleasure to get in touch with you if you have any question with VoIP.ms services. That's it for me, Brent. Quick and easy.
Thank you, Philippe. Let me share my screen here. All right. So my name is Brant Fox. I'm the Director of Technology Solutions at Big Cloud Consultants. We're a Microsoft Cloud Solutions provider. So we really help organizations with Office 365 and Azure, the Microsoft suite of cloud products. My experience started about 18 years ago in the Microsoft stack, building SharePoint intranets for companies. So have worked with hundreds and hundreds of companies to help them organize their corporate information and bring efficiencies to their business processes. So today we're going to be talking about Copilot. What is Copilot? How can we use Copilot? And I know a big point in the back of everybody's mind is, how are we making sure that our data is protected and secure? So first off, if you're familiar with ChatGPT, I think that's something we've all heard a lot about in the past little while. And it's this sort of thing that, we can have a conversation with this AI and get it to produce information for us. That ChatGPT is really the basis for this Copilot tool. So Copilot is a tool that is going to be available in the Microsoft suite of products, the Office products, Word, Outlook, and Teams, to name a few. We'll go into a number of examples throughout this presentation today. It really can help you do quite a lot, preparing for meetings, summarizing meetings, drafting emails for you. There's a ton of possibilities. It is aligned with Microsoft's security and compliance standards so that you know that the safety and privacy of your data is in place and protected. That is all private. This ChatGPT and Copilot has really been trained on the entire internet's worth of public information. Your company's data is never going to be a part of that training for the next version, that comes out.
That was Brent. That I'm allowing to stop here just for a moment because
Sure.
that was one of the concerns that we have internally, and it's forever discussion because I'm using HubSpot for my CRM here, and there's a place where you can enable OpenAI plugin into it, and it's always like, I don't want to activate that because I'm not fully sure that all this data will not be leaked or be sent on the internet. So one of the things that I noticed, because I tried a little bit Copilot myself, at the early stage of the configuration, it's telling you about the privacy statement. I don't want to be the devil advocate here, but how can we be sure it stays in a private realm? Is there any fine print that you're aware of or something?
Absolutely. There's a lot of details that Microsoft has put out there about this. In essence, there's a number of stages that are achieved in producing Copilot. And the first stage is the training of these large language models. And so that is like the ChatGPT that I think we're all familiar with. The training of those models, again, leverages that public information all across the internet on all those websites that we can all access today. Once the model is trained, it knows how to interact with us. It knows how to talk with us. Then that Copilot is given access to your company's data. The training is done. Copilot cannot learn anymore. It's not going to save any more information, but it can access that corporate information to be able to present it to you and help you make informed decisions about your workflow processes based on that information that it has access to. But when
it's a ramp up process, and when it's reached a plateau at some point in terms of learning, it stopped gathering stuff. It's
That's
just using the library already built.
That's right. And so Copilot is built on the GPT-4 framework, and one day there's going to be a GPT-5, but the training of that GPT-5 model is being done independently of your corporate data. That's being done on all the publicly accessible information before, again, it has access. And then by that point, the training is stopped. It won't remember any of your corporate data that it has access to from that point forward.
Great. It's reassuring.
So let's talk about what Copilot is. And it's not autopilot. It's not going to do your job for you. It is a tool for you to use. And so it is going to allow you to spend less time to accomplish the tasks that you're already doing today. So we've talked about how it's trained on that public data, and so it understands conversations and how to frame, for instance, an email, so that it can draft that for you, make it so that you don't have to write every word of every sentence. It lets you become the editor rather than the writer. And it uses that natural language processing to provide that conversational experience. So you can ask it questions, you can ask it suggestions. Just think of it as a helper to you and talk to it as you would a person. Again, it's got access to your organizational data stored within the Microsoft ecosystem. So if you have information in emails in a SharePoint site, in Teams, in your OneDrive, all of that is natively accessible to Copilot. There are ways to extend Copilot's reach, maybe into a file share. If you have documents still that aren't in a cloud and on a local system, you can also connect Microsoft Search to other line of business systems. And once that connection through Search is set up, Copilot can then view that data. So maybe you connect it to your CRM so that you have access to more information via Copilot. So next, we're going to talk about some specific applications, the Office suite of tools, and what Copilot can do for you within those applications. So first off, we're going to talk about Outlook. And within Outlook, the best uses of Copilot are to draft an email for you or to give you suggestions on an email that you've drafted. So, depending on how you want to go about it, if you have attached a document to your email, you can ask Copilot to draft an email that will ask the recipients to review the document you've provided, and perhaps also for their ability or availability to schedule the next meeting to review the document together. And so it will produce, sentences, paragraphs. You can be very specific in what you ask of Copilot. If you ask it for 3 bullet points, it will produce 3 bullet points. If you ask it for a brief summary, it may just give a couple sentences. So how you talk to Copilot matters a lot, and being precise in your requests goes a long way.
Because there's a big game of ChatGPT prompt, and I think there's already books written about that. Is it the same kind of concept about Copilot?
It's exactly the same, and understanding how to talk to Copilot goes a long way. You can have a conversation with it. You don't have to write out a long 3-paragraph prompt to try to get everything in the first response from Copilot. You can go back and forth with it. Ask it for a general summary. Ask it to expand on a particular detail. Ask it what it thinks about a detail it forgot, and get little bits of information here and there that you can use to craft whatever type of information you're looking to produce.
And do you need to be polite?
You don't have to be polite. I find myself doing it though. Please, you don't have to say please to Copilot, but it talks to us like another human. So, whether you say please or thank you, it doesn't care. Really, just be concise with what you're asking of it, and be precise with your verbiage. Again, if you want a few bullet points, say that specifically.
Great.
So it can also offer tips and suggestions on how to improve an email you've drafted in 3 specific ways: tone suggestions, reader sentiment, and clarity. So tone suggestions, I'm a technical person by nature. I'm not the most emotional. So, maybe it's going to tell me for a sales and marketing based email to be more enthusiastic, and try to, bring some energy to my response rather than just being very cut and dry with the facts, as I might be prone to do. Also, as far as reader sentiment, I try to show empathy for the reader. It might be one response. Maybe I had a meeting set up with a client. They were unable to make it. They had to go pick up a sick kid, and it might suggest, hey, show your condolences and give them some well wishes for their child. And finally, clarity. So Copilot, again, understands what you've written as if it's another person, and perhaps it will suggest add more examples. Maybe it catches a typo and you forgot a not behind a do, and so all of a sudden a couple of sentences don't quite align, and it might point that out and say to bring some clarity to the email by doing this. So,
and just because it seems it's almost like a oops catcher at some point. I'm speaking French in my day-to-day. Is Copilot, because on ChatGPT is quite good for French content. Is it since it's on ChatGPT for French content and French oopsie catch, or maybe other languages, it will do the same job?
Yes, it's available in many languages, all of the most wide-spoken languages. Not every language. I think there's too many out there, to be honest, but all of the major ones are supported.
Great.
All right, next we are going to move to Microsoft's Word. So this is going to be the place where if you've used ChatGPT before, it's going to feel very familiar. You can ask Copilot to produce a document for you. Maybe you need to create a new security policy. Ask it to produce that, and it'll come up with a number of bullet points and sections and a lot of content about a security policy. Once it does that, though, you may find you want to ask it to provide specific examples about this bullet point. You may ask it to expand and provide more details on a number of the topics to start to fill out that policy and make it lengthier. In addition to that, you could also ask it how to perform maybe some less common features within Word. I know of the mail merge feature in Word. I think I've used it one time and all these years. And so I don't know how to do that right off the top of my head. I can ask Copilot. It will give me instructions. Click on this tab, click on this button, and that will start to guide me down the path. Same thing for adding a watermark to a document. I don't do that day in and day out. I could Google it, and then I get to look at all of these blog posts and wonder, is this up to date? That's the cool thing about Copilot. It's always looking at the latest information, especially for this Microsoft-based stuff. And Copilot is going to be a conversational experience. When you ask it for advice on a topic, you can copy the resulting information it gives you, paste it into your document, ask it for clarification, ask it to expand on a topic. You're going to go back and forth with it, and as if you are, having a conversation with another person that's helping you with the document. So think of it that way. And finally, when you're talking to it, I think I've mentioned before, don't try to write out multiple paragraphs to ask Copilot to build you a document in one fell swoop. It just doesn't work as well that way. It works best to kind of start with a solid foundation, the simplest points. If I'm creating a document from scratch, I might ask it for a summary of this topic, and maybe it gives me a few pieces of information to go off of. I can ask it specifically about each piece of information one at a time to provide examples, add more clarity, or just more level of detail about each topic. And so I may ask Copilot 20 different things while I'm building this document. And after that, it's written 13 pages worth of content that I've copy and pasted little sections here and there and added them where I think they're most appropriate. At the end of the day, Copilot's not going to be perfect. It's not always going to phrase things exactly the way you might want to deliver them. So while it can write the majority of the content for you, it's worth taking the time, put yourself in the editor mode and go through and read everything start to finish and make sure it flows well.
And also, of course, the accuracy of the information needs to be kept in mind. It's a very intelligent process. It's a very intelligent engine, but we all know that sometimes it can produce. I don't want to say misleading to be conservative, but I think the accuracy of what it's produced there, it needs to be we have to be careful. So sometime by rereading it, and as you mentioned, put yourself in editor mode will help you catch it out if there's some little discrepancy and maybe sometime in the fact that it's provided. I think most of the time it's very accurate, but just you don't want to look bad in front of your boss when you're presenting a
Absolutely.
presentation.
Absolutely.
And about Word and Copilot, and speaking to look good, the format, the form, and the structure of the text is just throwing you text, and after that you have to model it the way that you want to shape it. And I only speak about the format. I'm not speaking about the grammar or anything.
Yes.
Will it produce a well done format, or can you ask to produce a specific format, or not?
Yeah, I believe you can ask it to produce format, but for the most part in Word, it is producing text, and it gives you the ability to copy that text just as is, plain formatting, to be able to input it into your document wherever you'd like. And so it will also tell you, for instance, if the information it's giving you in that text is based on your document, or if it's just generating it. It'll say, this is not based on the document, but here's what I'm providing for you. So it's really your job to take that plain text and put it into your document where you feel is most appropriate. If you want to ask it for a catchy title to the document or a header for a section, it can produce a nice short snippet for you. But you are probably going to want to go in there and change the styling, make that a header.
All right. Thanks.
All right, next up, let's talk about Teams. And this is where I think we start to see a lot of new power. Again, we've all heard about ChatGPT, and many of us have probably interacted with it online for free and seen the sort of conversational abilities or the ability to create documents that we get in Word. But within Teams, we start to really understand that this has access to our organizational information. So as an individual user, when you talk to Copilot, it sees what you see. It has access to your email. It has access to your OneDrive, if that's where you're storing your personal files. It has access to any SharePoint sites, or if you connect it to a file share, any documents that you have access to. So security is so important there. But you can start to ask Copilot about that organizational information. Maybe at the beginning of a week, I ask Copilot, what do I have going on this week? What do I need to prepare for? And it might tell me, you've got a VoIP.ms webinar coming up, and you need to make sure you've got your slides together. It may summarize all of those meetings on my calendar because it can look at all of that information. It can also see all the documents that are out there. And so you might ask it a question about a company policy, and as long as you have access to those policy documents, Copilot can go find that information and surface it to you much easier. I always think about, when I'm building something like an intranet for an organization, the perspective of a brand new employee who doesn't know where anything is at on day one. But if you give them Copilot, they can get most of their questions answered without ever having to reach out to HR or any other department heads to answer those questions or to point them in the right direction. Copilot just makes that simple.
There's so many organizations that build up learning management system for employees, and I think this might kill it in a short way. It's I'm eager to see what's coming up on this regard. And specifically about Team, one of the things, and by the way, I'm attending today's webinar specifically about Copilot in Team. I wouldn't be there. No, I'm joking, but it's for me, it's a very interesting topic. I was overlooking all the note taker fireflies For instance, or other types of note takers out there, TLDV or whatever. There's so many add-on that you can hook up to Team. And here again, I think Copilot might kill that anytime soon. Maybe not, but I think you get my point here. How Copilot can be leveraged for a Teams meeting? What's the really good thing it can produce for you?
Yeah, so I like to ask it, kind of my next couple of points there to summarize a meeting for me. So let's say we've been talking for an hour, and this is a conversation with a client. We're making a lot of important decisions that are going to affect the project that we're working on over the next 6 months. I can ask Copilot to summarize my meeting, and it might give me a few sentences that generally talk about who's there and the topics we discussed. I think that's all good, but this is where starting to get very specific with your Copilot request goes a long way. So after asking it for a summary, I realized, that's not good enough. We've been making a lot of important decisions, and I want to have those documented because I've been presenting, and I can only take so many notes while I'm also sharing my screen. So I've asked Copilot, give me a detailed list of decisions that were made on this call. And all of a sudden, I had 8 bullet points. For this topic, we decided this. For this topic, we decided that. And that was huge. When I take notes, I'm in OneNote, and it's very shorthand. It's just simple words, and it makes sense to me. But if I were to take that set of notes that I wrote, go back to an email and send it as a recap to the meeting, I'd have to really fill out all the text around those notes. Copilot's doing that for me now. Again, just like we talked with Word before, and as far as accuracy goes, read what it produces. Make sure that everything's there. It may have missed one topic that you glossed over or didn't talk about in depth, but it really goes a long way to making sure that you don't miss most of what the conversation was saying. And what I've had a lot of fun with is creating custom Copilots in Teams. So this is very much an advanced set of Copilot features, but you have the ability to create your own Copilots. And when you do that, you can point those Copilots at specific resources. Maybe you point them at your company handbook and your policies and procedures and call that the company Copilot, so that when users ask Copilot about specific company information, the only resources that it looks at are those handbook and policy documents. So the information returned is going to stay very focused. And these are only the latest versions of the files. It's not seeing anything that's old or outdated. And so you expect, very accurate results.
That's very interesting. I did not know about that. It changed because if you're asking question about company policy, to keep your example, but it also gather information on internet or is in knowledge base, it can produce something that is not relevant for what you're looking for. But if you enclose it into a specific set of data, that's even much better. I'm very surprised about this one.
And it Copilot has the context to be aware of when you're asking about company policies. It's not going to go and pull those from the web. But take, for instance, the example of an HR user who maybe helps write a lot of policies and has a lot of draft policies in the works. If that HR user is just asking the general Copilot about policies, it may return information from drafts that aren't final or public yet, and you don't want those going out to the rest of the organization. But when you craft these custom Copilots that only look at the final documents, you are ensuring that only that final, quote unquote, public information for the rest of the employee base is what is returned. And so that's very powerful. You can also point these at public websites. If you use a lot of applications, you can point Copilot at some of the application documentation that may be available on the web. In the past, I've built a competitive intelligence portal for a company where they wanted to go and look at competitors' websites and scrape that information, you could point a Copilot at competitors' websites and ask Copilot, how are they going to market? What are the new products they have? And Copilot could return that information to you without you having to go search and dig through a website. It's very powerful. There's a ton of possibility with the custom Copilots.
I wanted to end up with your expertise and what Big Cloud can help with at the end a little bit. But while we're there, I think I have to ask, is it the kind of service that Big Cloud can assist a customer with? Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, we've already made some custom Copilots for ourselves. We are getting a lot of use out of them. There's a ton of power there, and so we can help anyone on this call that's interested in maybe building some custom Copilots do just that.
Great, thank you.
Next up, we're going to talk about Excel. One thing to point out here is since Copilot has access to your organizational information, and by default that's in the Microsoft space, your files should be in OneDrive, SharePoint, or Teams for Copilot to really work off of them and understand what's available. If you've got a table of data in Excel, you can ask Copilot to create a pie chart or a bar chart based on that data. Tell it what metric you want to use for the axis, and it will create that chart for you. Same for pivot tables. I find that some people don't know how pivot tables work, but boy, they can answer some really important questions. You got a list of customers, and they're all over the country, but you want to ask, what states are our customers in, and get a unique list of states without any duplicates. Copilot could create that pivot table to give you that answer very quickly, and can also
on a multidimensional view, because a simple pivot table is easy to create, but as soon as you're getting into multidimensional aspect of your data, sometimes you can get lost, not very easily, depending on your level, your skills level with Excel. But I think this one can be very, very useful.
Absolutely, and another place where it really brings a ton of time savings is the data cleanup. And so this is one that I need to start just by saying, obviously, if you're asking Copilot to clean up data and change thousands of records, make sure you're reviewing what it does and what changes it makes. But asking it to get rid of duplicates, fill in missing values, or transform your data, if you're looking at large data sets in Excel, this can be such a time saver.
With large, I know Excel is not a database, don't take my word for it, but with a large database or a set of data that you have in Excel, definitely cleaning up the data. We have a old saying, garbage in, garbage out.
Yes.
So
yes,
if you can start with some clean garbage.
Take a telephone field, for instance. You're going to have potentially all sorts of formatting, from just the numbers with dashes, some that have parentheses around them. You could ask Copilot to strip out everything but the numbers if that's what you're looking for, to get cleaner data. Definitely,
yeah. If you want to analyze your CDR with VoIP.ms, for instance, because you can extract this information. If you want to, I'm pretty sure it can be used to produce call curves. So around, you provide a month of data of your telephony system and can give you what's the most occupied hours during a week or during a day, what's the most occupied day, and so on. This is the kind of question that I'm pretty sure Copilot can easily answer. Of course, if your data is cleaned up at first, because it cannot make magic, but definitely it's something that can be useful to do.
Absolutely. Next up, PowerPoint. So I asked Copilot to make this slide deck for me. It didn't do the whole thing. It didn't produce what we're all looking at here today. But you know what? I'm not the most creative person. I don't like to think about the color and the font size and the font. But I spend too much time having to do that when it comes down to it, because I want to make sure it looks perfect. And so I waste a lot of time there. I asked Copilot to create this presentation. It took care of the fonts, the sizes, the styling, most of the imagery. I took what it produced. I think I added 3 or 4 slides to talk about these individual applications. I changed out a couple images, and I added more relevant text in a few places. But I want to say Copilot created half of this presentation for me, and that was huge. After doing that, when you start to maybe add an image to a slide, it will give you design recommendations and show you 4 or 5 different previews of different ways you could show that image, and you just pick the one that looks best to you.
And not the preview that PowerPoint is giving you when you're adding stuff. It's a bit shaky sometimes when PowerPoint is giving you a design suggestion. I hope, in fact, it's probably better because it's looking
much better.
Yeah.
You can ask it how to improve your presentation, and it can even offer presentation assistance in real time by suggesting, pacing and body language, changes that may help you deliver your message more effectively.
Nice.
So I really want to end here just, again, kind of reassuring everybody that your information that Copilot has access to is only seen by Copilot when you're using it. These large language models that are the basis for Copilot are never trained on your company data. That training happens out in the public world with all the publicly available information on the internet before it is kind of put into your organization for you to leverage. And it's trained out there really just for the sense of interacting with us on a conversational basis so that it talks like a real person does, and we can have those conversations with it.
Here at the end, you're mentioning, before introducing Copilot, consider auditing your security and governance to your organization. Since we're pretty much at the end of all that, is it here again a service that Big Cloud can offer, at least for the Microsoft environment, I guess? Is it something you can provide? Is it a service you do?
Absolutely. So, it's one thing just to turn Copilot on for your entire organization and have everybody start using it. I would be a little scared by that if I had a large organization. I might be worried about what information could cross departments or leak into other roles that maybe shouldn't have access to it. And so a recommendation that we have and something that we can help with here at Big Cloud Consultants is to help you audit your security and your governance plan, ensure that the files that users have access to are the files they should have access to. If there is a spreadsheet that has compensation data for the entire organization and someone accidentally uploaded that to the wrong place or accidentally shared an anonymous link that everyone in the organization has access to, Copilot might be able to surface that data. So you really want to take the time to ensure that you're confident about your information security prior to turning Copilot on for the masses. If you want to try it out as a CEO or C-level executive, that's one thing. When you've got access to all the information, maybe you don't have to be so worried about it. But for the average, frontline worker, for instance, we want to make sure that they're only seeing what they should have access to, and that's where, again, we can help you audit your data and ensure that you have proper governance plan in place to manage that going forward.
And when setting up Copilot, you're mentioning that Copilot have access to all the files, but we know with OneDrive and SharePoint and so on, every department can choose the level of restriction and accessibility and access for different team, different user, different department. In the configuration of Copilot, this level of access is respected.
Yes. The user that is interacting with Copilot is only going to get information back from Copilot that the current user has access to. So 2 different users can ask Copilot the exact same question, but one user has access to more information, so it may get a different response.
And
And
will Copilot will uh, deny a request upfront, like, sorry, you
it
don't have
wouldn't
access.
deny, but it may just say, I can't find any information on that topic if that
Okay,
information lives in a document the user does not have access to.
because saying that you do not have access to the information is equally saying that this information exists.
Exists, right.
So that's why I'm asking this question.
So, Copilot, tell me about the plan to replace Brant Fox. I don't have access to that information. It's not going to know anything about it. It says, sorry, can't help there.
it's not
Essentially,
you.
saying it doesn't exist.
All right. That's great.
One other point, because you mentioned SharePoint, and that's where documents are stored for most organizations that use Microsoft's cloud suite of products. If you have a sensitive location that you never want Copilot to access, you can turn off the indexing of that SharePoint repository. It'll never be searched. It'll never be returned through search or through Copilot. So that is one good way beyond the standard security levels of restricting what Copilot has access to.
Great. Before we end, maybe you don't have the information on top of your head right now, but one of the, not a problem, but one of the complicated thing with Microsoft product is all their different SKU and level of let's say E1 or business premium,
Yes.
or all the different packaging. What's the basic requirement a user or an organization needs to have to get access to Copilot?
Yeah, you really need to have the basic like E3 or E5 business premium, those sort of SKUs to add Copilot to it. And the main thing is, when you think about it, again, Copilot has access to your email, to SharePoint, to OneDrive. If a user doesn't have access to those things, Copilot is no more than just Chat GPT. So there's no use in it. So you need to have those basic licenses to be able to add the Copilot license for the users.
And it's an add-on. Copilot.
It is an add-on. Yeah, that's correct.
Am I wrong? In Canadian, I saw pricing around $26 Canadian. What's in USD? Do you know?
$30 per user per month.
Okay.
So it is quite an expensive license when you compare it to some of those like E3 plans, and that could be the O365 E3 or the M365. Any of those are applicable. But when you start to think about the time savings for the average user, it saves me well beyond an hour. I would say every day at this point. When you put that into, how much is my time worth compounded for every day of the month, $30 per user per month is really not bad because of the efficiencies gained and what it allows me to do with my time. It frees me up to spend more time in meetings and talking to the clients about their needs and helping them architect solutions to make their businesses more efficient rather than just writing emails.
Great. Yeah, definitely. And some people will purchase ChatGPT at $20 a month, ChatGPT 4 plus, whatever the license. So the difference is between a standalone product versus an integrated one. I think it's already a great gain in terms of cost effectiveness here. So that's very great. So just to wrap up this, how Big Cloud Consultant can help organization either with Copilot itself or with Microsoft or any other services. That's your time.
Yeah, so we're a cloud solutions provider focusing on that Microsoft suite. If you need help with Exchange, SharePoint, building corporate intranets, automating processes using Power Apps and Power Automate, or you want to talk about Copilot, we're here to help. We can also work with Azure. We help a lot of organizations move their on-premise infrastructure up into the cloud, standing up servers there, handling their document management through something like SharePoint. we've got a big focus on security too. So if you're not using MFA, if you want to set up conditional access policies, ensuring that your users can only log in, from the country that you expect them to, things like that can help prevent security breaches is a big focus for us as well.
Great. And to end on that, Copilot, do you provide training?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can help guide users on how to interact with Copilot. We can help you, build your custom Copilots if you'd like. We can show you how to use the Copilot Studio that you use to build those. It's pretty easy to get into for a technical resource at your organization, and we're happy to provide training on that.
Great, because spending $30 per user, it's great, but you have to leverage it once you have it.
Absolutely.
Great. So we're at the end of this session. We're very time. I'm very surprised. So just if there's any question, doesn't seem to have any question right now. So if there's any question, I will provide contact detail for Big Cloud Consultant, my contact detail as well. You will receive the recording by email, the link for the recording by email as well. So feel free to get in touch either with Brent or myself if you have any question about VoIP.ms or Microsoft product. It will be a pleasure to help you out with this. I want to say thank you, Brent. There's a couple of things that I thought that I knew about Copilot in Microsoft, but you put light on that.
Philippe, I want to thank you for giving me the chance to speak here today. Really appreciate it. And it's been a pleasure working with you.
It's all my pleasure. And thanks everyone for joining us today. And have a nice day.
Take care.
Thank you.